What I'd like to do first is give a context, really, define megaregions, talk a bit about why there's such a compelling need to turn attention to them and to do planning for them. The focus of the talk today is on planning. So I'm going to give a little bit of a context for how planning is occurring in the US. The definition of megaregions: large networks of metropolitan centers and surrounding areas connected through cultural, environmental, economic characteristics, as well as infrastructure. Very good, very well accepted definition from our friends at Georgia Tech. The important point is that megaregions planning is occurring, but only to a degree. And we want to try to answer the question, to what degree, what's happening, what's not happening, is the glass half full or half empty? And a lot of the megaregions that we've been studying and working with are looking particularly at how they can improve the freight and the logistics flows in the future coming out of the ports. These are 11 megaregions, depending on whose map and research you use. There might be 11, 12, 13, 14. I went with the smaller number 11. It's pretty well accepted that these are the core ones. And I like this one because our case studies cover 7 out of the 11. Megaregions are better adapted to deal with global economic opportunities, as we saw on the map of the ports and the flow. Provides a strategy to act globally. Very difficult for individual states and for individual metropolitan areas or cities to be global players. There's a concern about the US's role in the international global economy, and megaregions fits into that directly. Often with a megaregion's scope, it allows a broader consideration of things like mobility beyond the legally defined borders, employment and opportunities that do correspond to these larger scale regions. And as we've seen from the case studies, many opportunities for innovation. A regulatory oversight every 4 years. Federal Highway and FTA certify the planning process for the major metropolitan areas, over 200,000. Also the 50 to 200,000, and all the states are expected to follow the same core foundational approach to planning. The key principles: systems approach, a 3C planning process, continuing, comprehensive, and cooperative planning. These are almost like a mantra, but this is really what's in place. Every state, 50 plus DC in Puerto Rico, every metropolitan area produces a 20-year or longer long-range plan and a 4-year investment program or TIP. And you could go to any website for any urbanized area, any state around the country, and you would see their plan, you would see their TIP, and you know what was really expected of them. For the revision of the metropolitan planning requirements for the MPOs, there's a really new emphasis on coordination that can only be a positive thing for planning for megaregions. And these are things that the federal agencies will be expecting MPOs and DOTs to do, working with their partners. More coordination outside their boundaries. High-speed intercity rail, intermodal terminals, coordination with adjacent planning agencies. So these are things where it's not as if there's a formal criterion where you'd say you're doing it or you're not doing it. It's an emphasis, and the sorts of MPOs, the best practice innovators that we've been working with on the case studies, are very good at picking up from the federal policy and direction things that may be more encouragements and requirements. That even establishment of a performance-based approach is really a dominant theme in the planning part of MAP 21, and I think everyone saw that coming, and it's really the new reality here. And how that translates into megaregions, I think time will really tell. But I think there's definitely an opportunity there that is relevant for megaregions. Volpe's work on this goes back really to 2009, at least for projects that I've been involved with. And then this is the slide that we've got. So now we're at the Volpe synthesis of what does this all mean. These are the stages, and this is what we say is the glass. This is the whole glass, the full glass, what it means to do megaregions planning. And we know you can go to the federal regulations and see what it means to do MPO or DOT planning, at least the core foundation that everybody needs to do. Total flexibility to expand from that, but consistency as well. define the boundaries, get people interested from public to private sector, come up with a shared vision. What are we talking? Some of the key themes that we've identified, the value of the planning framework. And this came from our peers, where we would put up our planning framework and said, does this make sense? Is this valuable? You know, is this a useful way of organizing the things that you're doing? Other key themes, importance of a champion, but as we mentioned before, political turnover, governors and mayors change office, come in with new themes, new priorities, and as we know as transportation planners, this planning process, particularly investments that are at the kind of scale we're considering, take a long time horizon, and if it's too politically dependent, it can only go so far. We also heard that the mega-region scale vision and scenario planning might be a very interesting pilot, and at the TRB summer meeting, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, the mega-regions came up on the scenario planning national meeting as something that would maybe be a good thing for a pilot, maybe with one of the case study MPOs, many of whom do vision and scenario planning for their area, or the states do the same, to maybe try to do some with their partners.